What's up, guys? So I'm making some progress on my C5 build, and I wanted to share it with you. And it feels good. We're finally making progress. So I'm finally at the point where I have a lot of the components in place. A lot of things had to get done to get to this point. I built my engine, my LS6 383 stroker. I put some forged internals into it. I added some components like American Racing headers. Really focusing on just putting some quality parts on this thing, so when I do build it and drive it, it's going to last and I can have a lot of fun with it. Things like the transmission, for instance, the T56, I put a billet front plate that has a spray bar in it, and what that's going to do is that's going to spray ATF fluid on my transmission gears when I'm accelerating. These transmission gears get very hot under lots of friction and load, under load, which causes lots of friction. You guys get it. But everything from Delrin bushings, I went to Van Steel in St. Pete, Clearwater, and I have a video to share with you guys of the process of the A-arms getting prepped. I originally had polyurethane bushings in this car, and they were great for what they were. I actually used the car. I have a video of me when I was much younger using the car as a pressing in my polyurethane bushings. It was crazy. It's what I had, and I was so gung-ho about putting them in my car. You know, when you're young and you have a car like this, you're like, nothing's going to stop you from installing these polyurethane bushings. So I in fact started doing this when I was much younger, and I had this car originally as a weekend getaway car, something that I could do car shows and enjoy time with friends. Sorry. So I've taken the time to build certain parts of the car over a course of the last 7 years. I bought this car 7 years ago, and I just constantly, I've loved it. You know, I love driving it, and I would take it out to meets, and I met a lot of people, you know, driving this car, and I've raced it. I've done autocross. I've done a lot of drag racing with it. I've had a lot of fun in it. And so I started with the engine. The original engine was a LS1, and I had built a friend of mine's Z06 for track use, and I kept the old engine and had it machined because it had been a rod, and it scuffed up the cylinder pretty good in number 7. And so basically I just had to clean it up at the machine shop. I took it over to some guys that were able to bore and hone it and get it back into spec. And I had some custom pistons to fit, which happen to be some turbo pistons that are coated. I'll have all the specs for my build in later videos. I have a whole book of all the receipts and the instructions as I got all these parts. You know, collecting them over the years, I've had to keep track of what I bought or what I have for the car. And, you know, some things have changed. I'm going to have a massive parts sell from, you know, things that I didn't use, like the Z06 brakes. They won't work with my CCW classic wheels. I knew that, but I was going to try to use them. But to use them, I got to use a spacer, and I don't want to space my front wheels out that much. They look ridiculous. Like the aggressive offset that I have already on top of some spacers with the wide fenders, they really poke out, and I don't want to nick up my fenders. You know, when you don't have the tires sticking out, when they're inside of the fenders are protected, and when you have the tires poking out, they take a lot of abuse. They'll get really damaged on the bottom and the sills, and it kicks up all the dirt and stuff. So can't have that. So I did a C6 triple disc on this car, and I plan to really, you know, I want it to handle some abuse. You know, I want to be able to launch it. I want to be able to have some fun with it when it comes time to have some fun. So I did the QuickTime bell housing for a C6 Corvette, and I used a Manic. Jeff from Manic was great to work with. He's a cool guy. He gave me exactly what I needed. It showed up in like a really nice case. So if I ever need to ship this thing and get it serviced, it has a really nice package, shipping box I can ship my clutch in. I like that. I like the customer service. Customer service is everything. And a lot of you understand that when you build cars. You know, having some feedback or having a little backing helps a lot when you're building stuff. I did a turn 1 power steering pump, and I got rid of the plastic pulley. Those things fail on these cars, so we eliminated that weak link. I do want to keep my ABS in this car, so installing my Holly Terminator xmax. Is it Terminator? I always say Terminator or Dominator, but I think it's a Terminator xmax. So I have the wiring harness for the engine that's plugged in, pretty much all ready to go. I'm currently splitting the loom on the factory wiring harness so I can separate the fuel injection, the ignition side of things, because I basically am going to pull all of those wires out and unpin it from my ECM. That way, if I ever want to resort back, or which I'll never will, you know, let's just get rid of whatever doesn't need to be on the car, savings wise, weight wise, savings wise. It's really just going to help simplify things. The Holly's going to run the engine parameters, ignition, spark control, fuel, cooling. The only thing that I really need the car to still function is the BCM module and the PCM, the control module for the brain of, you know, the ABS. So we're going to keep that in place. The anti-theft and all that should work fine. The key fobs should still work and all that. What else? I'm mounting the battery in the back. I have a mount for that. The transmission is still a T56, but I did do the faceplate, the billet plate spray bar mod, and I do have the ECS brackets and billet mount. The differential, oh man, I've done so much to that thing. I originally rebuilt the original diff with new, you know, Z06, you know, clutches and the shims and all that. And then I talked to Jason over at Texas Drivetrain, and we had talked about maybe getting something a little bit better. And I did also did a wave track. From what I read, wave track, if you know anything about these cars and these diffs, when you really start accelerating, they kind of skate all over around and it doesn't really feel good. You can't put a lot of good power down on these diffs with the stock clutches and stuff. They fight each other. It moves around. So I wanted to kind of just give this thing a really good life, and so I put a wave track diff in it, along with the pinion side, or the differential side. The loading side has now got a billet cover. I think it's 6061, 6160 aircraft, you know, billet aluminum, but it's super beef. I got that now. So I've got to install my pump and the hose for that spray bar system. I'm going to do that. I've got a Chris Johnson fuel pump, dual Hellcat fuel pump set up, and I'm running 12 AN fuel line, and I'm running a 10 return. So we have plenty of room to upgrade there. Fuel wise, this original fuel system in this car had a bottom feed style fuel tank, but I did go up to the 04 C6 style fuel tank that has the top feed, just because I bought the fuel system and the cooling system from a guy who was building a vet and sold me the parts. The Mears electric water pump has aircraft fittings on it. I'm going to run dash 20 cooling hoses to the radiator. I got from him, it had the AN lines on it, so why not keep, you know, utilize that. Now for the torque tube, I did upgrade my torque tube. I do have a 3.5-inch drive shaft. I eliminated the guibos, the rubber couplers. I didn't want to have a wink link there. I did also a torque tamer to help, you know, control the flex of everything. I'm doing coilovers. I've got the what's the name of the things? I forgot the name of them. Neomax coilovers. Anyways, I'll have a list of all the parts, but It's been a long day. I've been working. I'm tired, but I wanted to update my build because I'm so excited. You know, it's finally coming together. And my turbo stuff here is on the floor. And this is an American Racing crossover pipe. And I'm going to probably cut this section off and do some V-bands. Some step V-bands. Not the, you know, I might leave these and then just start it here. Because my turbo, which is a comp turbo, it's an oilless turbo. That's a 6767, and that is an original Precision from STS that came with this kit that I purchased used, and basically I'm going to copy it. So I'm going to hack the ends off of this crossover right here, and I am going to do some stainless mandrel bend stuff, and then made it to my Pro Comp Turbo, which is going to feed similar, but just V-banded, right? So this is a 2-inch V-band, and we're just going to basically mimic this downpipe to feed that turbo to V-band into the crossover tube. And then it'll go all back together. We'll get it back in the car, and I'll fabricate how it needs to go up in the car. Like, I really want to kind of straighten the pipe out as much as I can, so I don't have that 90-degree bend, the 45 that's there. I want to eliminate that. And so these feed tubes are going to run all the way around the wheel well, fender well, and they go down the side of the car all the way to the front. And then they'll come out the bottom of the door sills in the front, and they'll go to a connector and then a pipe that'll run under the car here and under the A-arms, and then connect to the intercooler that's already mounted there. All right, and then it'll feed my PTR carbon intake manifold. That's here, and I have some custom piping that I've been making and welding on, and that's this beautiful titanium stuff. Not probably going to go with the blue, the stain, you know, the heat stained titanium, because it's not really goes with my build, but it was just stuff that I was messing with. I bought, and I've been welding. I got a nice little welding setup there. I've been learning how to TIG weld titanium to kind of get better and better and better at what I've been doing. And I have a plasma. I have my Everlast 255 EXT. This thing is an amazing machine. If you're a beginner welder, let me tell you, this thing is amazing. This is the kind of stuff that I've been welding. This is my first time welding titanium. And what's nice about welding titanium is you can actually weld without a filler rod, and that's called autonomously welding. And I didn't do bad for my first time. I learned a lot, what not to do, what's good, what's not good, and I can sit here and explain to you, but we'd be here forever. So, but that's cool. It's titanium. How cool is that? You know, who doesn't like? I've always been amazed at titanium because it looked like metal, right? And it'd be so light. You never know that it was titanium. But titanium blues up, it colors up, it's beautiful stuff. It's exotic metal. But look at this beautiful bow on that quarter panel. Those are going to complement my CCWs. I got some really nice wide CCW classics. Because you know the classics, they just always look good on these vets. And when I was younger, and I was like, if I ever have a Corvette, I want CCW classics on my Corvette. So that's what I got. Now, I got to get it all together. It's not easy. It's going to take some time. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, please subscribe, follow, give me a follow. That way I can stay in the algorithm, and it'll help me get better at what I'm doing and more progress. I love when people talk and comment on my build, and I hope it inspires you to do something for yourself and build something like this for yourself, and never think that you can't do it. You know, it might take you a little while. I've been saving this car. I almost sold it like 2 or 3 times. It's been difficult, but if you keep everything going, you keep your head down, you have goals, you set those goals, you'll finish eventually, right? So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. The follows and the comments and stuff. So it really helps me. This is my dream build. 8 years in the making right here. So woohoo! I still work on bikes in the meantime. These are customers' bikes that I'm working on. Currently in the shop getting work. And that used to be my, priority, was taking care of motorcycles and refurbishing them and doing services on them. And now my attention's kind of shifted more towards building cars and making content and creating things. So I'm getting more proficient at things like welding. I'd like to weld some C8 exhausts. I have a lot of projects that are coming up that are very interesting, and a lot of people have said, hey, I want to watch that, and please update me. So if you guys care for this kind of content and want to see more things get built and done in the shop, then please give me a like and a follow. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful night. I'm going to be working here for a little bit more. I'm so excited. I can't tell you. It's taken me a long time to get here. A lot of hard work, a lot of restless nights. So, it's cool that it's finally, it's happening. And if you guys have any comments and things that'll help me, I'm currently installing that Holly xmax Terminator standalone, and it's going to take me a little while. So if you have recommendations or just some tips on wiring that thing up, they're more than welcome. I know a lot, but I'm not one of those people that aren't afraid to learn. So have a good night. Thanks. See ya.